What predominant assumption do they have about you? Hi, I'm Sunny, and today's pick card is 4 piles only. So from left to right, it's one pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you need more time, pause the video. Otherwise, I will start with pile number 1. So for pile number 1, you guys have the King of Swords upright. So for you, pile 1, the predominant assumption that the person you're specifically thinking about in your mind has about you, it has to do with the fact that you are a very harsh person when it comes to how you speak. For example, if you've had communication with this person, it could have been arguments. You could have scolded them. You could have raised your voice, or cussed them out. It could have been derogatory terms. Like, it can be a whole lot of things, like slang. Like, it just feels like you just know how to fight with your words. So this person feels like you are someone that it's not that you are purposely mean. I think you were just very protective when you were talking to this person, or you're trying to communicate, or at least from what they viewed or they assume about you, is that you're someone that's very calculating but very harsh with your words, someone that is very, it just feels like they're very cautious with you because they know that you could tear them down. I feel like you could easily hurt their confidence, their ego, and that's not something they wish to have, or at least they've already dealt with that they wish to avoid that. It could be either because you're very protective of your space, protective of your mind. I do think you have reasons, but maybe you're overly on the offense, that you automatically get defensive with anybody that tries to come at you smart, or anybody that tries to even approach you. So there's a time and a place, but maybe it's not always necessary for you to be always that way. Be a little bit more softer and open. But I do think you're someone that's very incredibly well-worded and rounded when it comes to things that you talk about with people. So maybe that's why you can come off a bit intimidating in that sense. Even if you are a female, you have that sense of strong determination, someone that is very skillful, and someone that's very cunning. So I think that you can be, from time to time, and maybe in this particular instance that you're thinking about, or at least them with you, they're thinking that you're someone that's very manipulative, but it feels like whoever gets in your way, you don't mind throwing them under the bus every now and then, depending on who it is, just to get what you want. So they see you as someone that can be ambitious and will do anything and anything to reach their goal. I was going to say get their goal, but it does feel like they see you as someone who can use their eloquent speech to get their way. They can see you as someone who likes to look through the loopholes of things, like contracts, for example, or just loopholes on how, example, not that this is you, but you didn't say, you told somebody not to do something, but you're like, well, you didn't say not to do this on this date, or you didn't say how to not do this this way, things like that. So you know how to make people retract their words, or make people kind of be like, I should have been more specific when it comes to things that I wanted you to clear off, but because they know you're gonna work around that, trying to be a smart aleck, right? So it does feel like you're someone that is very fox-like. You move fast, you think fast. I think you have a lot of speed when it comes to thinking, so that can be a little bit intimidating for them to come across you, because you already know what to say when you or you assume what they want to tell you already, and that intimidates them because they want to have maybe a proper conversation, or slower conversation, trying to tread carefully, but you're already on edge. It feels like you're edgy in that sense, what do you want? Get it over with, just tell me what you need so I can just continue my stuff. It feels like that. So it does feel like you can be powerful, intimidating, but very guarded, very, very guarded, very protective of yourself. So that's how they assume you are, or that's the assumptions they've built up so far about you that really stands out in this moment. I could also see you as someone that's incredibly, I think that they see you as somebody who knows how to take care of their mind, but keeps their problems to themselves, because that could be a liability for you, knowing that people know what your weaknesses are, and that's why you're a little bit more out on guard on that stance, how you're wielding this sword. So I hope that helped. Pile number 2, you guys have the Queen of Swords reverse. The assumption they make about you with this card, I do think that they see you as someone that's more internal. They see you as maybe a little bit more shy. The predominant energies in here. They see you as someone who's a little bit more reserved. Like you hesitate. They see you as someone who hesitates to say what they need to say, or they actually think. Because one, you might not always want to stir the pot, and you have to consider other people because that's just your personality. Or two, it's not in your best benefit, right? Or they see you as, because you've had unfavorable results or scenarios, that's why you're someone that they see that you kind of hold back, because you're like, I don't want to repeat this mistake anymore. I've already learned my lesson. I've learned not to associate myself with these people, or not to, stir the pot, cause drama. I don't want to make things a little bit like wreak havoc for me, and I'm just like given anxiety. They do see you as someone that possibly is a little bit more like anxious, or you have some more tics or like some habits to self-soothe, like fidgeting, very fidgety person, shaky person. Like you're someone that's always like moving your hands. So I feel like you're someone that self-soothes to calm your nerves down, because you have been given scenarios that are very stressful. So they see you as someone that's trying not to be in that stressful energy, but they really do think that you are someone that's very capable of being cutthroat when you need to. But I feel like you hold back. That's what they see. So they see you as someone that's kind of like not a ticking bomb, but like like you're just waiting for the appropriate scenario to just like give the finishing verbal blow of like, that's not like you just know how to find like you just know when to appropriately use the words people like tell you to spit that back out to them. It just feels like you have good comebacks, but like sure, you could be playful and stuff, I think, but it's more so when they think about you and like they know that you can come back at them with something more insulting, and possibly insulting in the way where it's like you could, it just feels like maybe you threaten their, I don't feel like you threaten their masculinity or femininity. It just feels like you threaten what was taught to them, or what feels normal to them, like whatever they feel familiar with, you threaten that status quo, I guess, is the best way. I might not say the best words, but I think I'm trying to use appropriate words for this. So it does feel like you're someone that knows how to navigate things, but you choose to not attack. You choose not to be on the offense. Very different from pile number 1, I think. Maybe some of you guys had a certain connection with pile number 1, but it's interesting how there's this like interesting connection between that and this one. So it does feel like you're someone that you could be a little bit more hesitant to speak your mind, but you have an incredibly powerful mind. So they know that you're someone that is good at problem solving. They know that you can be fair, but maybe not always. I think maybe if they've had conversations with you, they might have felt like you treated them unfairly because you didn't know all the data, or there was like a Mercury retrograde of sorts when you guys spoke, and there's this miscommunication. So it feels like maybe in this moment in time, you've retrieved your sword and you haven't allowed people in. You're someone that's taking care of what's going inside. Possibly you have a lot of maybe worries in this moment, so you're thinking really carefully about yourself and where you stand. I think that maybe you also have, you're just not very confident in your choices and actions, because I just feel like you really I think you're the person that really feels like you've let yourself down lately. So they might, or at least when they think about you, they're thinking about a specific scenario where they pick that up from you, where it's like, that was not that was not my best decision, and now I have to, what's it called, sit on my bed, sleep on my bed, I did my bed or something like that. So it feels like that. So that's the assumption predominantly that shows up with you. So next I have pile number 3. You guys have the 6 of Wands upright. Sorry, I'm getting a little tired. Tired from breathing, not the reading. So, sorry. With you, pile number 3, what assumption does the person in your mind predominantly think about you? I think they can see that you've accomplished something. So, like, example, let's say you finished an important educational, what's it called? Educational, not retreat. Educational, like, facet of your life, right? And they can see that you are being celebrated, posting pictures, they're taking you out to, like, eat out with your friends and family. So they can see that you are being celebrated. Or they can see that you, maybe example, if it's not like a career or like education thing, it's like, oh, I finished a marathon, right? I ran a marathon and I trained. Well, first off, you probably likely trained for, well, I think you probably did. You possibly trained previously for weeks or months, right? And you built yourself up to finally do that straight, I don't know, I'm going to say 5K, walk or run or whatever. And you're like, wow, I have so much endurance. Like, it feels like you're being celebrated because you wanted to do something good for yourself and for others too. I feel that it's like a win-win for everybody. So they see you as someone that achieved a goal that they wanted to, and they're kind of like earning their stripes. So it feels like that. But it just feels like you're kind of basking in the fame, in the not like amazing fame, like worldwide fame, but like fame within your own group, right? So it feels like they pick that up, right, in this moment, or at least about you. When they think about you, you're someone that possibly has these frequent fame moments because of their goals, that you're someone that's always constantly complimented and celebrated for achievements that you do or accomplishments that you've endured because of your stamina, your strength, your determination. They can see you as someone who has a lot of fire qualities, that are very passionate, very driven. They see you as a very competent person. So I think that's great. I think they see you in this, but I also think that maybe there might be a teeny tiny is a hinge of jealousy, envy. Mostly it just feels like that for this pile. Not in a super negative way. It feels more like a mild, light-hearted way. Not like super light-hearted, but it feels more so like they wish they could have that. Not so much like, oh, this person doesn't deserve it. It's more so they would like to have what you have, like in that aspect of, I wish I was, this doesn't apply for everybody, but for some, this can relate to, I wish I had that because I have been doing, I want to say I've been busting my ASS off for so long, and I barely get recognition, or I barely get, I'm barely having any like awards, or I'm not giving anything special, like, what are they called? I think it starts with an I. But it's basically like rewards, like, oh, you get to, you have a free dinner at X place, oh, you have extra football tickets to this place, oh, you have this, like, movie tickets, or you get to have extra days off, or you get a commission. It just feels like they didn't have that extra income or salary like you did. They didn't have the clapping, the hand clapping. They didn't have people supporting them. It just feels like there's something about you that they see there. It's like they like that you have that glory. Like, they don't wish you bad, but it's like they wish either they were part of it or they had it just like you. But I feel like you really do have a little bit more glory than they do. And that's how they think about you, more or less. Pile number 3, they do see you as someone that's competent, but it just feels like they might have some reservations, and they might not tell you anything like good job or anything, because you're like, well, you already heard it once, you don't need to hear it again. Like, I don't want to get you like on cloud nine. Like, or I don't want, what's it called when they don't want to make you feel like a little too much? There's a saying, but they don't want it to get to your head, basically. Mostly because they want to, it feels like they want to keep it grounded. It just feels like that for this pile, but they don't really wish you like, oh, I want bad luck on you, or like, oh, you don't deserve it, or you should suffer. None of that. It just feels more like a slight tint of envy, but more so because they wish to have that. But they do see you in this light where it's like they see you as someone that does deserve the credit and the recognition for what you've done, because you've done a lot for yourself and possibly for others, I feel. And they do see you as someone who's very considerate and giving of everybody else that's around them, not just you, but you really don't mind. I don't think you really mind that fact that the attention's on you and you're in the spotlight, so good for you. So next, pile number 4. You guys have the death card reverse. So this person in your mind, when they think about you in the sense where you've gone, or they can sense that you've gone through a lot of changes, but it feels like you hide it. So they pick up on you, possibly because they might have gone through the same changes, or they feel like they can relate. It just feels like you guys have this subtle connection that's not spoken. Yeah, an unspoken connection of like, I see you and you see me, but we acknowledge each other, but we don't really speak. It just feels like maybe it's a distant connection too that you're thinking about, or one that was long gone, or maybe someone that you keep limited contact with. It does feel like that, but for the most part, with this connection that you're thinking about, I do feel that this person, the assumption that they bring about for the most part in the forefront, is the fact that you go through a lot of changes privately, and it's not that sometimes you don't want to bother. It's not that you don't want to annoy, but it feels like you don't necessarily like to bother or annoy people, because one, you can do better and think better privately. Sometimes having more noise or more opinions doesn't always make those changes easier, because you might be a little bit more hesitant and fixed in your own ways like that, as opposed to when you're alone, you can do these things without really having somebody to tell you how to do it and what to do it. Like, I think you prefer to be like the swans and the ducks. They look elegant and graceful when you're seeing them above water, but when they're looking beyond the water, under their feet and their feathers, they're paddling quite fast and heavily. So they see you as someone like that, where it's like you keep the hardships to yourself, possibly because you want to make yourself look graceful, or people just assume you make it look easier, or you just don't want to burden people. But I also think it's more of a private thing where you're like a little bit more picky or choosier about who gets to see those harsher changes, because they're not pretty. Sorry, I thought it was my dog. Sometimes he plays with things he should not be playing with. So I'm like, he's in the kitchen. So, going back to the reading, I do think that you might not feel this way. Remember, this is their perspective, but from what they see at a distance, or from their perspective and point of view, is they see you as someone who has a lot of psychological changes, emotional changes, things that people can't see, but they can feel. That once you start treating people differently, they can pick up on like, oh, you changed your taste in music. Oh, you changed your taste in literature. You changed how you spoke, or you don't like the same things. Like, they slowly pick up on those things. They're not easily seen, but they can be perceived and felt. So they can pick up on that intuitively. So they have that connection with you, that intuitive connection of things are not what they seem below the surface. And you're both good at that. So I think you guys are incredibly well-rounded people when it comes to knowing what's going beneath the surface of the human body. And maybe they might relate to that too. And I think that's why you guys are interested in knowing what they think about you. So overall, for this pile, I do see you as someone who's experiencing a little bit more joy in this time, and they see you as like, oh, there's they went through a lot of, like, example, if you went through a lot of harsh breakups because they were not, the people that you dated were not nice people, right? I think you know what I'm trying to get at, sorry. They might have thrown hands, right? You know, stuff like that. So when you walk out of those kinds of connections, they can feel that you have a different, lighter air. It feels like energy's changing. It's kind of, you're detoxing. So they feel you a little bit lighter, a little bit like happier, more joyful, someone that's more creative, someone that's feeling themselves and smelling the roses. Like, they know that once there's rain, there's flowers, right? So it feels like that, where they know that they can sense the changes and they feel good for you. They really, I think they admire you because you can feel like you take charge head on. But most people won't notice, because I think that people either have to be non-superficial people for for them to notice these changes that are going around you. But yeah, they are someone that feels intimidated by you to some extent because of how good you manage yourself. So I hope that helped pile number 4. So that'll be all for today. So please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps me out with my algorithm, and I'll see you soon. So bye, everybody.